So this is just where we just shot Gangsters versus Thugs. Very interesting. A lot of cleanup. Films, well, I want to say studio because it's a unit, but studio.
So today we were involved in a VR action scene in one take, which was a lot of pressure, but awesome fun. I got to crack a breakable valve into someone's head. I got stabbed with an axe a couple of times and elbowed in the face. Yeah, I also got a sledgehammer at someone's back as well. It's awesome fun.
What other industry do you do that in?
The fact that it's 360 completely, it's not at a single point. Everything that we had to do it like carefully rehearsed. So that was something that was quite challenging. You couldn't like take it easy at some parts.
It's been brilliant. It's been a good experience. I did some violent combat and I got killed. Just got my balls caved in as well, which is great. This was pouring out.
I'm going to be pouring now, yeah. Hi, my name's Chloe Jean and I'm performing a short piece with Marcus Shakesheff today. There's a fight scene on the Mafia box.
Hello, my name's Fraser Malik. I was the security guard that ended up getting framed for a table. It was good fun. Haven't done a breakaway before, so it was a really good experience.
Good fight scene, ended up having something broken over my head. I was told it was a breakaway, but still felt it when I hit it, but it was good fun, really enjoyed it, definitely do it again.
Hi, my name's Ian, just had a fight scene with Shiraz. And then Marcus comes along, boots me in the head, and then kills me off. It's always a good thing to do. No, it's good just to see how you get things done in one take. So you can't just muck things up. You've got to work under pressure, and that was really good today.
I've worked on a door for 12 years. I've been bottled 3 times. Probably bottled. I've actually been hit with a champagne bottle, broke over my head, and that hurt a lot. The breakaway that they used, it hurts. Yeah, it does. You feel it. You definitely feel it when it hits.
Violent as fuck, which is awesome. Enjoyed it.
We wanted to make a VR film, because, they look pretty cool. Looking at the VR films out there, there's some really good ones, but a lot of them, like, there's a lot of horrors, there's a lot of sci-fi, there's, different ones, but what they tend to be is, when they watch them, they're films that could have been shot just with a normal camera in 2D. There's nothing VR about them. Like, you can look around the room, but there's nothing going on behind you. So, like, in that case, like, there's a Star Wars one I saw. There's some cool bits with the ships. You look around the ships, but when the acting's actually happening, it's like it's in one corner of the room. So you only look that way. So it sort of takes the VR experience away. And same with the horrors, which, look, it's hard to do. I'm not judging. They're very hard to do. So we wanted to make an action VR film because it hasn't been done yet. So we thought we'll make an action VR film, but I really wanted to immerse and engage with the audience so they were in it. But it's like, how do you do that? So the plan was to make the person, the camera basically is the person's POV of them being in this. And we wanted like right at the kick-off where you're right in the middle of it. So wherever you look, there's something happening, there's something crashing on. And I think we achieved that. So the action bit was easy. We just had a lot of people, like you say, you feel like you're in it. You're looking round and like it's all kicking off. And that was the plan with it. But obviously we need to do a little bit of a story. So we did it that basically you're the center and we got the actors around the camera so they engage with each other, and then it's your choice whether you look, to see what they're saying. Now VR is definitely a lot different to normal filming. I mean, my background, I'm a professional stuntman and actor in film and TV. So, I'm used to doing just normal film cameras, lenses, 2D stuff. And, especially with action, you'll do like cuts and movements and other things to give energy to the the action. So VR was extremely different. One, there's no cuts. I mean, you can have cuts, but what we were doing, there's no cuts. And you can have cuts because it takes away from the VR. The VR, you can look everywhere. So basically, we had to do a master. And I thought, great, do you know what? Run the fight a couple of times, film it, we'll be done. You know, it'll be way quicker than like normal conventional filming, which can take a long time and a lot of hours. And, you know, moving shot to shot, setups takes time, lighting, blah, blah, blah. So I thought it'd be easy to do. Boy, was I wrong. Doing one fight would have took the same amount of time as if we were just filming it normally with cameras and cuts and lenses and lighting. It took just as long, and it was even more harder because you really only get one take. I mean, we had breakaways and all that, so we only had one take. So we had to have multiple fights going around. So wherever you look, there's a fight kicking off. Whichever corner of the room you look in, there's a fight kicking off. But then we had to time the fights in. So the idea with it was that I went round taking out the guys, and a female, Chloe, comes up taking out people behind me to the point that we meet. Now, when we meet, obviously you go into the 2D area, but that was the best thing we thought was a right kicking off. But then what it meant was we had to time each person's fight. So, for example, we had Aaron and Mark Sloan and Aaron Gassor, Ginger Ninja Trickster fighting each other. Now, their fight had to last as long as my first fight with Fraser. So I have a fight with Fraser, but by the time I dispatch of him, Aaron has to be done with Mark. It was very complicated. So they had to time in. But then we had to do that for every fight, the time in with not just me, Chloe. So it was extremely difficult. I mean, you'll see these breakaways. He's about to go through a table. You know, boom. We only have one of them. One of the guys has gone through the boxes, as you can see there, slammed down. He's about to slam a breakaway on his head. Lovely. We only had one of them. Earlier on, you'll see what Aaron Gassor, Ginger Ninja Trickster. He gets bottled. Boom. He just got bottled, even though you didn't really see it. The boy's there. Look, you can see the bottle in his hand there, and he goes bash. There he goes. And the boys here, boom, they go through that. So you know, when you got breakaways like that, you've only got one take at it. I think, you know, obviously when you got the VR set, it's a lot more in it. I wasn't aware if I could have done any visual effects because visual effects, you know, it's VR. I've never done VFX for VR, so. Which is a shame because I would like to have done guns and other things, but I didn't do it because I didn't know if I was going to put CG in, like CG gun splats, gun squibs and blood splats. So I was pretty nervous about any CG. So the idea of this, that there was going to be, you know, no CG. And the thing is, you know, with these YouTube vids, normally, like I do my YouTube, like I say, I work professionally in the film industry as a stunt performer, stunt coordinator, and actor. And you know, when we previs the action for films, you know, a lot of time goes into it, a lot of prep goes into it. Then my YouTube is just for fun. There's no prep. I turn up on the day with my camera and a few boys, quickly put a fight together, and we film it. And what we get is what we get, and that's it. There's not a lot of effort into it. And pretty much this is what we did on the VR film. We just turned up and did it. But with this video, like I said, there was no prep. We just turned up, rocked up, shot it, and then I worried about if I could do CG afterwards. I mean, that's pretty much what I do on all my vids because, like I said, it's experimenting. So the CG element. Now, if you go into After Effects, there are blood squibs and other things going on in this. So normally with VR in After Effects, there is a VR section. If I remember what it's called, it is called Immersive Video. So this here is all your VR bits, basically, all your VR effects. If you do normal effects on VR, they tend not to work, and like especially the stitch line, you'll see stitch line, especially if you try grade it or anything like that. With normal effects, it won't work. So you have to use the VR effects for it to blend properly. So that's Immersive Video and effects for VR effects. Now, when doing effects, you can turn 2D effects into 3D or VR, and I think that is the VR converter. So you can take 2D effects and convert them into VR. Now, I tried it and it didn't look right. So in the end, I just ended up putting on normal 2D effects unconverted, and you know, it seemed to work. You know, I just went in, and you'll see now a man, Shiraz, and a lovely lead actress, Chloe, going in there, got a hammer, and you'll see blood coming out of Mark here. That's just a 2D effect. I didn't bother with VR, and you can't tell difference at all. And then she cuts off his arm. I'll explain how I did that in a minute. So ignore the arm going past camera at the moment. So she cuts off his arm, and it goes shway. She cuts it there. Now that blood effect, so again, it's just a 2D effect. I think because it's so small in the comparison, you don't really notice it, that it's not right, because obviously the VR, when you have it processed, you got it like how you're seeing it now, it's like flat and it's all warped, so that when it processes it, it makes it VR. With the 2D effects, you don't notice that they're not, you know, they're not like you watch it. It's not like the effects are warped. The effects are normal. Now, to be honest, I tried the immersive VR to convert the files. It didn't seem to work, and I could have looked into it. I just couldn't be bothered. Like I said, it's a YouTube video. Just couldn't be bothered. But I'm sure if you look into it,
when you look into it, you gotta look into it.
If you look into it, there's tutorials that tell you how to do it. But I literally couldn't be bothered. Now, as you can see, there's a blood splat going there. That's 2D. Because the camera was stationary, I didn't have to track anything. I know there are tutorials on there on tracking, but I didn't have to track anything, so I didn't bother. Though I say I didn't bother, I did have to do basic tracking only because where people were walking past the camera and it wasn't secure enough, the camera was wobbling, so things are wobbling. So I did have to track for that, and I just went in and tracked normally as you normally would. Now the arm. That was a different kettle of fish. So like all the blood splatters, there's like a knife stab in the stomach and you see the knife. So this arm bit now, basically how I did this was, so I was never gonna have his arm cut off. That wasn't the plan. It was only when afterwards I realized I could do CGI that I was able to cut his arm off. So I thought, great, I can cut his arm off, brilliant. Oh, I thought it'd be cool to see the arm go past. So if you've got the VR set, you follow it and you see the arm go past screen. Now, when I realised I cut his arm off, I went back afterwards, because this unit is the Beat'em Up Films unit, so I can go there anytime I want, and pretty much the same setup. All I did was basically, we got like prop arms there. The jumper he's got there are closed there at the unit, so I just cut the sleeve off, put the prop arm in the sleeve, and just literally set the camera up in the rough position, stood where they were, and just threw it. And I didn't even bother with blue screen or green screen, because this VR, I would have green screened the whole one side and the wall, and I just I mean, I have got green screen that could do it, but it's a hell of a long setup time. I just thought I'll just roto it, and I just threw it and just rotoed it out, which you can probably tell. But when it's gone that fast, you don't tell. And as you can see there, the blood goes like she cuts off, and as we said, the blood's all just 2D effects plotting over there. So that's pretty much how I did the effects. I didn't worry too much on any of that. What I will say I did regret, because originally I didn't think there could be any cuts, because like I said, it's a master and you want to be in it. You don't want cuts, because then you know they've cut for whatever reason. So there is no cuts. This fight is won. But what I did do, admittedly, there were some ropey bits, because it was all master, I'm only had one take. There were some ropey bits. And when there was ropey bits, what I did was like the guy's losing consciousness. There you go, he's going blurry, losing consciousness. And there's some other bits later on where, sim again, there were a few ropey bits. So I wanted it to seem like the guy was losing consciousness. Now, if I'd known I could have done this at the time, so you go, he's losing consciousness, I could have used that as cut points. That would have been perfect cut points if I wanted to go back and pick up certain parts of the fight and redo it. I didn't, but in future, if I do anything, that's what I will do. Is I'll do like the guy blurring out of vision, and then we just could use it as cuts, or something similar to that, which will look good because it's cut. So that is, what I did. His arm's up on his body, and what I've had to do, see, if you can see there, that is his hand. And because it's black and it's been graded quite dark, you don't see the shape of his arm. So I just show you, you don't see the shape of his arm there. So all I did there was, all I had to do was take out his hand. all I did was I've just taken some jumper here and just put it up here, just tracked it, and that's gone in the whole time. I think his arm does fall back down though. Let's see. I'm pretty sure his arm might fall back down because I remember I had to replicate. A lot of these and the hammer. The hammer was originally there though, but I had to replicate it because his arm got cut off. No, because originally his arm didn't get cut off, I mean, he was still holding the hammer. So early on in the scene, if I can find it, I had to do on the arm getting cut off, I had to put the hammer drop where it was. But because it drops there later, I just used that as the plate. So if I load it and show you. Right, so he's still got the hammer at this point. That hammer there, sorry for the poor quality, is a dud. You'll see the hammer drop in. I apologize for the poor quality. Boom. That is CG. That's not real. You sort of can tell it. I gave it a good bounce. Shoot again. It goes boom, bam. And the hammer drops to the point. It ends up later on in the scene. Now, he was holding the hammer the whole time. Boom. He's holding it the whole time, but I had to have it drop there. It was easy to do because, like I said, because I got lots of footage, all I did was took a plate of it where it finally ends and just put it in there. The only other thing I played with was the logo. Now, the logo to get on the bottom. Now, I'll just go back. This I basically had on my system and I just re-put. As you can see, it's a bit. Now, do you see where that's warped? That is being converted to VR. And that's what I mean, I couldn't get it to work. That don't look right to me because they've tried converting it for VR and it looks too obvious. Whereas if I left it just 2D, I think it would have been fine. But I converted it and it looked warped, and that's why I ditched the VR converter. I wanted to initially put the person in so you see his legs and stuff, and that was I was struggling to do it. What I should have done was had a dummy made up, so you had dummy arms and legs, and maybe just put someone's hands in moving. I didn't. Or done some sort of VR thing, but I didn't have time. I'm out here in Belfast at the moment. I flew over. I didn't have time. That's what I'd like to have done. So instead, I put the logo in. Now this logo, as you can see, Marcus Monkey. There's tutorials on how to do it and how you can warp it through Photoshop and whatnot. But there is a great site called, if I remember, was this place, Narinda Patch. So all I did was I put my logo into the system. So I think I've got footage of this already, but you find your logo that you want, put the logo that you want, okay, and that loads that. Then you put in the image, so you take a still frame from your VR footage or whatever it is you have. So this is a still image, and then what it does is it converts it into the image. There you go. So it's given the bottom image. There you can see that's what it gives you. Now, I did this, and by here is a download thing that you click download. Now, it's not letting me do it. I don't know if it's because maybe you only get one free one per system, and then you have to register and subscribe to do it again. But there'll be, where this arrow is, there will be a download image for you to download that. But there it is. As you can see it there. And you just put it into the bottom, and then when you go into your VR footage, you will see the 360 logo on there. I tried doing quadraphonic or ambisonic sound. So you can see here, I did all the ambisonic sound. So I went into sequences, I did, or if you do new, so for example, if I go in new sequence, I went into the VR thing they have there. I went into the 4K ambisonics, and it gives you there a 4-channel process. 1, 2, 3. What am I doing? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 same things. And then I watched the tutorial. Now I've seen one where they do directional, where you put an ambisonic thing on there and you go directional, and I saw this one. The directional one I couldn't get to work. I really don't know why. And the thing is, I run out of time. The thing is with these projects, it's like anything. I could take forever perfecting them, but you know, I've had this for months, and with time, I just don't have the time. So I went into the channel tutorial I've seen. So that's channel 1. that's channel 3, and then you've got channel 4, and so forth. And basically, oh, I had to write it down. So channel 1 would be forward. So let me just get this right. So channel 1 would be forward. So that's where I'm approximately there. This section there, if you can see the arrow, is forward. 2 is right, so that would be from there to about there, just to again with the arrows. 3 is behind, so that would be there, 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 and there, 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 if you can see with the arrow. Sorry, I need to really do a marker. And 4 is left, so that would be like there to there, basically. Now, when you export it, from all accounts, Adobe does the metadata for you, because that's the problem. YouTube doesn't have the metadata. But when you do it, you go into here, channel 4.0, because it's 4 channels. For some reason, the bitrate has to be, I can't remember if it's 512 or 576. So I went 576. I know it's 5 something. And you click on audio is ambisonic. And apparently YouTube reads that. Now I've done testers, and I've been doing testers for 2 weeks now. I don't think I'm getting it to work. I even did, there's another thing, hold on, sorry, called, it's called Spatial Media Metadata Injector. So what you can do is, so for example, I've got 2 files. So what you can do is, so these are my files here. What you'd do is you would open, you would put the VR into it. And basically what this does, this injects the metadata into it and saves it there. So that there now has been injected with the metadata for YouTube to read. But like I said, apparently Adobe Premiere, so the original version, should have that metadata for YouTube to read. Hope there's some things in there that might help. If you have got any questions about VR, please do put them on the comments below. And if I can answer them, I can answer them. But I'll just tell you now, guys, I'm a stunt guy. I get paid to fall over. I don't get paid to do Fusion effects or something like that. But I will try help if I can. Please subscribe to the BMAT Films channel. There's going to be more behind the scenes and how we do things on this channel. And if you want to see the films, please go over to Marcus Monkey on YouTube. I was trying to find my logo, but I can't find it. I'll show it on the screen. Marcus Monkey. Please go over to Marcus Monkey and subscribe to them as well, so you can see more videos. And please let me know what you think. Okay, thank you and bye.